Way back in 2005, two brothers set off on a road trip that would save the world and change television.
Ernie and Bert?
No. For 15 seasons and 327 episodes, Supernatural took audiences on a wild ride of family, fate, and faith with a rocking soundtrack and a seriously cool car.
But that was then, Bobo, and this is now. And yes, the show has quote-unquote ended, but we're not quite done with the journey.
No, we're not.
And that's why we're watching it all over again, or for Rob and me, for the first time,
That's right.
diving deep into every episode of Supernatural with the fine folks who made it. And we're taking you along for the ride.
Whether you like it or not. I'm Rob Benedict. I played Chuck Shirley, a.k.a. God.
Spoiler!
Yeah, it is a bit of a spoiler, but hey, spoilers are fair game here.
Fine. And I'm Richard Speight Jr., and I played the Trickster, also known as the Archangel Gabriel, and I did a little bit of Loki work in there.
Okay, you know what? We're running out of time.
Okay, well, we'll be talking about the entire series, so whatever we say, accept it. You've been warned.
So buckle up and settle in.
Because this, my friend, is Supernatural, then and now.
Hey, everybody, this is Rob Benedict.
And I'm Richard Speight Jr.
We're here to talk to you about episode 106 of Supernatural, Skin.
Give me some skin.
Ooh, it's a gross one.
Dude, it's so gross. It's so good, but so gross. All right, Robbie, let's break it down. So in this episode, Sam and Dean hear from one of Sam's old college buddies because he used to go to, Stanford, right?
Right.
Well, the guy's been accused of murder.
Whoa.
Yeah, that didn't make any sense. He's not that kind of guy.
No.
Sam immediately realizes this is something he's got to take a look at because it doesn't. I mean, Dean's like, no, this isn't us. But Sam's like, yeah, no, this is us.
Right.
So they head back to where this guy lives. Guy's not there. Door opens. It's his hot sister.
Hot sister answers the door.
Yeah. And she's very upset
She
because
says this isn't like my brother.
no, it's not like him at all.
No. And so no sooner are they looking into it that another murder happens.
What?
Yeah. But this time it's a different person who kills his loved one in the same way.
Weird.
Ties her up and beats her and kills her.
So this means that something's up, and the brothers soon discover that it's a shapeshifter, Rob.
Yeah.
It's a shapeshifter.
They go into the sewers and they see remnants of skin.
Gross.
And they realize it's a shapeshifter adopting the likeness of other people and committing these murders.
Yeah, well, obviously this has got to be stopped. Sam and Dean are the ones to do it, so they dive in head first to make sure that there's no more killing. But hold on to your hat.
Uh-oh.
Things get real pear-shaped when suddenly the shapeshifter morphs into the likeness of our very own Dean Winchester.
Which sounds cool unless you're killing people, which is what he's trying to do.
Good point.
And the big climax, finally they kill the shapeshifter as Dean with a silver bullet, and everybody gets out by the skin of their teeth.
Except for Dean, who people now think is dead.
That's right.
Weird.
What'd you think?
I freaking loved this episode.
I did too.
I thought it was great. I thought it was gross in all the coolest ways. I thought it was really well done. The whole, I think all the actors who played dual characters, the guest stars and Jensen alike, were great.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought it had a real creepy vibe to the whole thing, and the story was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It gets a full beard from me, full bushy beard.
I agree. I think it was great. Again, I think it furthers the relationship with the two brothers. It sort of capitalizes on any conflict they have with each other because the shape-shifting Dean is sort of saying angry things at Sam, and they have a fight, and that's the first time we've sort of seen them fight like that. And it's scary to think like the person you think you can trust, you actually can't. So it goes into this idea of trust and truth, also the cold open, it's Jensen, you think that Dean is the bad guy for a second, and that's a fun twist.
That's a nice twist. Also, there's a gooey ear on the sewer floor.
There's a gooey ear. There's like an odd, like a pair of jeans around some skin. It's really gross. Yeah. We also have
people say that about me when I'm wearing jeans.
Yeah, no, he looks like jeans and skin. It's gross. And then we see Jensen kind of as the shapeshifter, like shedding Jensen's skin, and that's an odd sort of, Jensen morphing, doing
a reptilian thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jensen crushes it, man, playing two characters. He really does. First time we get to see that happen. We see it happen many times over the life of the show, but first time we see it happen, and it's really great.
Yeah, gets a full beard from me as well.
2 full beards.
Well, this episode's very exciting. We're going to get to talk to Jerry Wanek, production designer and producer of the show.
Yeah, I mean, just a great voice of the show. His artistic flair is, part of the signature look of the whole show.
Absolutely, and such a key element. And, before this, he worked on the Andromeda Strain.
Dark Angel.
Yep, and the Criminal Minds pilot.
I mean, the man's done a ton of stuff, features and TV alike, and then he spent the last 15 years making sure that all of the sets, and there were a gazillion of them, looked freaking awesome.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's get into our conversation with Jerry. Okay, it's such a treat today. We've got with us someone who is important not only to this episode of Supernatural, but to every episode.
Every single episode of Supernatural has this man's artistic fingerprint all over it.
Please welcome production designer Jerry Wanek to
Jerry.
the show. Jerry.
Hey,
Thank you so much.
thank you. Very happy to be here.
Let's start with your talent. How did you, Jerry, end up on Supernatural?
I ended up there because of Mr. Jensen Ackles, because I was the designer on Dark Angel. We did the first season, and Jensen had one episode, and they liked him so much, even though we killed him, much like we did in Supernatural. Cameron and Jeff Woolnough at the time and Ken Biller said, we should bring this character back. And because they were sort of mutants and, post-apocalyptic futuristic genetics, we could bring him back as another mutant. It was just magic on screen with Jessica. And, as you all know, working with Jensen on screen, he's just a great actor, and he's so compelling. So when the season came up, when we started Supernatural, I had done the pilot for Criminal Minds, and I had offers for a couple other shows. And then my agent said, hey, Jensen's coming up there with a show. And I said, I'll take that one, just because I go this guy is money, and
Wow.
I'll hook my horse to that carriage, and it all worked out.
Well, specifically in this, we're talking about 106 Skin, and a great deal of this episode takes place in the sewers.
Yes.
So at this point, there's no standing set, so you have to build this sewer. Are you on location for that sewer, or is that a set?
No,
Or
there's
both?
that was completely 100% build.
Okay.
And that was Robbie McNeil, who's just a great guy and a really talented director. So we it's like working with Richard, we just had a really good, easy rapport. So we just started thinking about stuff and the type of goo we were going to use for the melting
skin.
flesh,
Yeah.
the skin, and we made everything in that sewer. We put a really high gloss on it, so it just looked like it was dripping. And
It did. It's so gross.
I never thought for a second that wasn't an actual sewer. I work in TV. I do this all the time.
Yeah.
I had no doubt that they had crawled down in a sewer.
yeah, you guys being actors, would you want to go down in a real sewer? Probably
Not so much.
Nope.
No.
Oh,
Yeah. So, but so that was, what I remember about that most was is working with Robbie, and I liked the whole idea, of the shapeshifter.
yeah.
And because that was the first time because all this stuff was new to me. I'm not a horror guy.
Right, or a
I don't-
sci-fi guy.
But one of the other things, going back to Kripke, was from the start in the Bible, he said, it's all got to be based in either folklore, theology, or mythology. We got to be able to, when people start Googling what a shapeshifter is, there's got to be reference for that, in history. And that gave us a lot of depth, and people love that, right? If they can look that up, and then when it happens again, or does it reoccur, or, where was the origins? And so that was fun.
Well, personally, I kind of think Skin, the whole look, including the goo for the shedded skin and the look of the sewer, really set a tone for the rest of the show. Because I feel like it kind of everything got a little grosser, a little gooier, a little grittier on that episode, and then it kind of lived there. Was there a sense, because you've done, I know it was the 6th episode to air. I'm not sure if it was shot in order or not, but was there a sense that you guys were doing something like outside the box cool with this episode, because from a performance, from Jared playing multiple characters to the set. Jensen. Yeah. Jensen playing multiple characters to the shedding of the skin to the sewer set. It all just felt like a movie, not a TV show.
Well, thank you for that. It was also like, as a group, we were starting to get like-minded, because this was a new genre for all of us. Dark Angel, we had some of that stuff. In fact, an episode we did with Tom Wright was basically took place in all this whole tunnel system. It was a sewer. So I drew upon some of the ways that we lit that, because you need to have light wells in order to be able to get enough light in there, so it doesn't feel like we're, just in a studio, and then make it feel more like a sewer. So we learned from that. But yeah, no, I agree with you, Richard. Like, that was part of like, okay, this is what we're in for. But we really never got a chance to go, okay, great. Now we got that, because we were, the next 2-3 scripts were already out, and we had to figure it out. We had to keep moving.
Yeah.
Right.
And, there were some turning points. So I remember, I think it was the second episode or third episode that Bob did, when we did it on the plane, and Jared and Jensen finally started clicking as brothers, just like their ease, what their banter. And even Nutter called Bob and said, hey, that's what the show's all about, because they were becoming friends and stuff like that, and finishing each other's sentences. And so there, a couple of those times, a couple of those turns really put us onto the next track. And, and anytime Eric, it was also like incredible. Like, we get these rough drafts, and because now you're looking for that, you're looking for this sort of offhanded humor and this gallows humor, and then you wouldn't see it, and that you wouldn't feel it, but the script was all there, and then Eric would do his polish, and then it would become, oh yeah, okay, there's Sam, there's Dean, now we're on track. But it's amazing, just a couple of those things that his polish would do to make us right back in there, right back in our sweet spot.
Hey there, this is Jensen. I hope you're enjoying the episode, but we need to pull over for a second for some messages, and I gotta take a leak.
Hey, this is Richard Speight. You know what? It's 2024. It's a brand new year, and I bet you made some New Year's resolutions, and I bet one of them was to eat healthier. Well, you can get cranking on that resolution right now, my friend, with Factor. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, the prep work, the cooking fatigue. I'm getting tired just talking about it. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan, and veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you will have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart this resolution off right. Forget frantic lunch prep and rush dinner making. That stinks. Factor's 2-minute meals, yes, I said 2 minutes, are your secret weapon in the new year. You get to fuel up fast with restaurant-quality meals, all delivered right to your door. It doesn't get any easier than that. And Factor now offers loads of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, snacks, and more to keep you going no matter what's on the schedule. So I know what you're asking, Rich, how do I tap into this Factor magic? You head to factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 and use code SPNTAN50 to get 50% off. That's a lot off. That's code SPNTAN50 at factormeals.com/SPNTAN50 for 50% off. Make that resolution happen now and make it happen at a discount. Fantastic food that's healthy and delicious and delivered right to my door. Now that is how you start the new year off right.
Hey, guess what? We're back.
How when an episode gets done, you're your job is pretty much done by this time they start shooting, right? In other words,
Hopefully.
I didn't see you once. I saw you more in the office than I saw you on the set because
Yeah.
you've been in there before. But
Yeah.
me as an actor, by the time I get there, your job is
Yeah.
So you're really not there when they're shooting the fight scene. You'd already set up the set.
Yes, but I will, and I'm one of the few production designers that does this. I will always open the set. Like, so when Richard comes on his first day of directing, or anytime there's a new set within his episode, I will be there and I'll make sure I walk through it with him. So it is as promised.
That's
Is there
great.
anything? And I also insist, because I got burdened from some quite famous directors before, I insist on them coming down to the stage and we walk it as we build it. So it's like when Richard showed up on a Saturday when we were doing your church, and
Right.
I was breaking the wall away to go past the crucifix into Lucifer in the cage. And that was part of my Catholic upbringing to get back at somebody. But, it was the juxtaposition between the Christ hanging on the cross and pushing past that and going into Lucifer. But we worked that out because Richard came like on a Saturday to look what he was shooting, to get his shot list together, do his homework. But I do make sure I'm never there like after the director. A lot of times I'm not there when the cast actually gets there, but I will be there. Usually we don't insist, but we ask the director to come an hour early so we can just have a little time in the set.
Sure.
And everybody make sure we're,
I
as
imagine
promised.
that's a welcome offer to most directors, to be able to
I hope so.
be part of that.
It is. I'd say like 90%. And then there's some that are just lazy. And
Yeah, right.
You build a lot of sets on Supernatural. How much of the material would find a home on another set? Like how much would get reused?
Well, we tried to do as much as possible as far as the reusing, but we built such unique sets that a lot of times you have to strip everything away because everything is so highly textured, and the paint finishes where Monique would spend days just getting that right. So I'd say less than maybe 30%.
I know one thing you did though. I remember you guys built the vampire caverns
Mhm.
later in the year, and then I think you guys sold that to Sabrina to be hell. I think that ended up going somewhere else to be a different universe.
Yeah, and actually, we just gave it to him. That was this big cave, and when you sculpt caves, you use a lot of styrofoam, and that's the worst thing for landfill. So whenever you do that, you kind of go. And I just asked around, and they said Sabrina's looking for this a cave, and I said, well, have the production designer come over here, and I'll give it to her. So it's theirs because it was another CW show. And that was a weird thing because, and Lisa Silver's like a fantastic, Richard and I went and visited her sets, and
Yeah, she's something else.
and she's become a good friend.
And a big time director, by the way, she is now.
Yeah, now she's doing the pilot for the new Big Little Lies, or
Right.
That day when she came over to look at the cave set, she's kind of cowering, and I'm going like, "Hey, I'm Jerry Wanek," and she goes, "Well, I know who you are. I'm a super fan." I'm going like, "You made of Supernatural?" She goes, "No, of yours." She said, "The only reason I got into being a production designer was from watching Supernatural. And that's what made me decide to be a production designer." I said, "Wow." And I said,
That's amazing.
That's pretty awesome,
really?
man.
Really?
That's
But then
amazing.
I go to her sets, and then I go, "Man, I got to up my game."
Yeah.
Because she's kicking my ass here. And whenever we would do sets in Cloverdale, because I knew she lived there, she lived actually above one of her sets in Cloverdale, above their bookstore kind of diner thing for Sabrina, I'd make sure we really knocked it out of the park in case she walked by or came by the set.
Yeah.
For this episode, do you remember other sets? Do you remember? I guess there's the house where the couple lives, where the woman is held hostage when Jensen turns into the bad guy. I guess that would be a set.
Yeah, that was a set.
And that would be, so when you're building these sets, they're all on the stages.
Yes. Yes.
But then sometimes you'd actually build sets on location somewhere, correct?
Yeah, rarely. I mean, it just depended on, because we got really good at looking at all the sets we needed to build and what was the location, if it had an exterior, because, your key to your interior is like if you do an establishing shot or somebody walking in the front door, now you have to take that architecture and make sure it's believable, whatever you're doing on stage, has some of the same characteristics,
right?
Some of the same detail. So in that house, we had a house down in the Southlands that we established them walking in the door. And then once they walk in the door, it's all on stage.
Gotcha.
But I had to take elements, and a lot of it has to do with the geography too, because we usually see the foyer area.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have to do a cutting piece in there. It's just a big puzzle. It really is just fitting all those things together. But
well, this is kind of a question for both of you, I guess. But when you're having your production meetings before you start shooting, do you all decide what's going to be set, what's going to be, in other words, we've got this house and this part of that we're going to get for this, that we're going to go inside the house and actually shoot inside the house as opposed to building a set for it?
I always felt like, Jerry, I think that's a question more for you, because I always felt like by the time I started directing, which was season 11, you guys had it down to a science where usually I sometimes would talk to Jerry before I saw a script. He would call me and go, your whole episode takes place at a bus stop. I found the bus stop. I'm like, okay. You know what I mean? Or, hey, listen, this whole script feels like this. You want to try this style? And I literally may have just gotten the script or whatever. So I always felt like they were ahead of the director. I mean, like they were lining up a battle plan of like, let's build that, let's not build that, before I ever showed up. That was my sense. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is. And we were one of the few shows that were able to do that because, like I said, we had scripts that were 2 and 3 ahead. And the reason we got to create such cool stuff and be able to afford to build it is because we could pre-plan. And, like when you're building from behind and you have to work Saturdays, Sundays, and a bunch of overtime, you don't get any return on your dollar. But because, we had the blessing of like Eric or Sarah or Andrew or Jeremy from down south, we kind of went ahead and did our thing. I rarely sent any drawings down to Los Angeles. I would, I'd get a script, and because I always got early copies, and I'd call Rich. I'd say, hey, this is like, we got to do this like dollhouse thing. And then there's this twig stuff that happens. And, but the house we're going to shoot in looks great from the outside, but, we're going to have to build all the bedrooms and all the other stuff on stage. And, and then we just talk and we divide it up best we could. Here's the thing, Rob, on our show, because there was so much special effects, visual effects, and stunts, rarely did we shoot on a real house because we're going to wreck it. Somebody was always blasting through a wall or splattering blood all over. And so we just go, let's not kid ourselves. It's just a normal looking house.
Yeah.
But we're going to massacre somebody in it.
Right.
And people, like there was a lot of people that we wanted to shoot in their house, even though we weren't going to kill anybody in it, that go, oh, supernatural. Yeah, no.
Right.
I think it's, bad vibes. We don't want to, we don't want that karma. And, and it rightfully so. A lot of them were, they might've been a religious family and
right.
That's
right. Can't have the demons in their house.
Nah. And that was, that happened more than I'd like to believe, But
well, and then what about on an exterior scene where, like in this episode, Jared gets out of the sewer and they're looking around for the shapeshifter, and they're obviously in a public area. What's your job in that shot where it's an exterior location that already exists?
Well, first of all, you got to pick a neighborhood that isn't ugly. You got to pick something that is moody enough and that fits the tone of where you just traveled or where he went into the sewer, where he pops out. And then a lot of it is making sure you don't have any goofy looking signage or graphics or something that says Vancouver and neon.
Right. That screams Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and usually wherever the story took place, that also afforded us an opportunity to tell you where it was. So we would do a billboard, or we would do some signage, or a motel, or
you're in Missouri, you're in Oklahoma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
that's another interesting point, Jerry, to what you accomplished is this whole show takes place in America and was shot, with the exception of 2 episodes, was shot in Vancouver. And that's something people forget also, that
Yeah, and I get that all the time. We spent some time in Florida, and I go back to Wisconsin a lot, where I'm from, and people will go. I say, yeah, I did Supernatural for 15 years. Oh, so you travel all around the country? I said, thank you, because my job is to make you think we traveled all around the country. Right. But we never left Vancouver except to go to Chicago once.
Your sets are so good, and this is a story for all three of us, that we were shooting in the store that was supposed to be like a Best Buy.
Yeah.
That was an empty warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That you guys turned into a electronics store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's a scene that had Rob in it. And when we were shooting in there, twice people came in looking for cell phone accessories.
Yeah.
And we tried to explain we're not really a store.
Yeah.
And then one of the women left and then came back. And she's like, I just want to buy that one thing you have right there. We're like, I know we look like a store. I do understand this is confusing. We're not a store.
Yeah.
I have one sort of slightly off topic question, but it's more, I'm just curious how your line of work works in terms of credit, because as long as I've been involved in the show, you've been an executive producer on that show. Is that common for a production designer to be an executive producer?
Not at all. The reason, after about season 3, I went to Cyrus, who was the producer. There was season 3. And I said, look, if you want me to come back, I said, I have enough production design credits, I'll never need another one. And I also wanted to give John, who was my art director for many years, I wanted to get him bumped up to production designer, because now his career depends on production designing credits. And same thing with Robert, who's my art director on this show, Robert Leader, who was also, he moved up after John. But so by me getting a producer title and relinquishing the production designer title, John got credit and Robert got credit.
Wow.
So then when it's their next move, they have that on their resume.
Wow,
and it's nice. on their IMDb. So it just worked out for all of us. Plus, after Kim passed away, they made a decision not to bring a creative producer up. So somebody had to mind the store. And Bob trusted me enough, and Eric trusted me enough. So I would go to bat for their cause, because the people, there was a short interval of a couple of producers that, they weren't in the best interest of just keeping the production value and.
And those are the people between Cyrus and Jim Michaels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyhow, it was a bit of a battle, but it wasn't just like a give me credit. It was a credit that, I had to earn, and then they just, abused me for the next 11 years.
Well, I at no point did I think it was just a negotiation tactic at all. The question was based on the fact that you had the weight of an executive producer. When I would come up there as a young director, of course I was never young, but I was a director. But you were definitely sort of the pointy end of the bayonet for directors. So you were like, you were the guy who was the boss. Jim Michaels obviously was like involved in the casting. You weren't involved there, but in terms of you and me doing the prep work in advance of shooting, location scouting, style, design, all that stuff. If you and I decided it, it was decided.
Yeah.
We never had to have another conversation. You know what I mean? And so I immediately recognized, Jerry's. First of all, you're very intimidating. I've always told you that. You always you're like, I don't understand how I'm intimidating, but you are, because actors never see. You're like this giant shadow that moves past a doorway. But when
you first come up as a guest star to work in Supernatural, you go to the office. The first thing you do, and you sign your papers. And Jerry kind of walks by, and you're like,
"Oh my God!" Jerry. The people don't know Jerry.
That guy's important.
I'm looming.
Well, you're Jared's height. You're taller than Jared. I don't know. You're huge.
No.
You're a big guy. And
I'm fat. I'm not that tall.
You're a tall dude, man. And you come through and you're you're intense. And I'm like, oh man, Jerry. So I remember when I first started directing, I realized I really got to know your genius and professionalism by working alongside you or under you. And secondly, I realized what a great ally you are to storytellers. Like, cause you're there, you're in the same trench. You're fighting the same battle. And it was, I thought it was really genius that you were up there representing both the business and the art of what the show is about. You know what I mean? And I think you did that really, really well, and certainly were very helpful to not just me, anybody who's up there to direct the show. And that's fantastic. That's that. At no point is that a title that's handed to you. It's definitely one that you earned.
And I got to thank Bob Singer for most of that, because he was on every single concept meeting, and I got a big mouth. I mean, if I see something in the story, I don't really even. I didn't know the people down south at the time, like the writers. I got to know all of them they became good friends. But if I thought something didn't make sense, or I had a, alternative solution, I would just bring it up. And Bob always acknowledged that. And in fact, early on, he asked me if I wanted to direct. He goes, "Look, you know what? If you ever want to direct, you let me know."
Wow.
And I, because I wasn't comfortable with you guys, not you two personally, but with actors, because my stuff is like, I like to just go do my art,
Sure.
and kind of be in my own little area. But as far as like telling stories through your voices, that I wasn't comfortable with, because I had no experience. And then as years went on, and I got to be friends with a lot of you, and Jared and Jensen, we'd go out and have some beers and watch football, whatever. Then I said, okay, let's see where this goes. And Bob, said, okay, because I made sure I didn't call him, because I didn't want to get, turned down over the phone. So I emailed him. I said, "Hey, Bob, I think I might be interested in directing." And he calls me, he goes, "Which episode do you want?" I got 7, 11, or 13. and I said, now okay. I'll take 11.
Which is perfect, because when we get to that episode, we're going to be back on
we're going to be talking to you again.
Back in the microphone with Jerry to taling about that. So.
Was there anything, we're going to let you go, but was there anything else about Skin that you remember, about building something for Skin, that world?
No, I just remember the different levels we chose, how hard it was to find the access point down into the main sewer,
right?
Because there you have to find a street where you can actually have somebody drop into something, and that was a big deal. But what I remember there is it was fun, because Robbie's a great guy and he has a great sense of humor, and it was kind of funny, because when you get as gross as that shit was,
oh man,
all
so
that
gross.
slime and stuff, and then we just started dripping more and more off the pipes.
There's an ear on the ground, like in the goo.
Yeah,
so gross.
And and instead of like trying not to see it, we shined a light on it, and then it, that was just fun.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Gross fun.
Jerry Wanek, executive producer, production designer, charter member of the Supernatural production team.
Thank you.
Thank you for being a part of this podcast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for doing this. And, I love what you do with the conventions and everything that has given, this show another whole life. And they're so much fun. And you guys do a great job with that. And
thank you, Jerry.
I'm very thankful to call you both good friends. And I look forward to tipping a pint when you get up here.
Oh, absolutely.
Ditto, right, buddy.
I'm thirsty.
Okay.
Thank you.
As Rich said, we'll be back to talk to you when we come to your episode that you directed.
Okay, great.
All right, Jerry.
Thanks, Jerry.
Again.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Hey there, this is Richard Speight Jr., and I hope you're enjoying the episode, but we need to pull over for a few seconds for some messages. Thanks for supporting Supernatural then and now. And now, back to the show.
That was so great to talk to Jerry.
So great.
It's a shame we couldn't get any of the actors from the episode. Oh, our phones are ringing, Rich.
I didn't know we had a phone.
I didn't either, but I guess we do. Oh, I'm just going to answer.
Do it.
Okay. Hello?
Hey, Rob, Rich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo,
All right.
Who is this?
Classic Rich. Who's this?
Wow. I didn't
Seems to
from
know
the
us.
episode. Featured from the episode,
Oh.
episode 6.
Oh, it's someone from the episode.
Oh, an actor from the episode. Oh, did
Who's
you?
Yeah.
actually in Skin.
You played.
I'm sorry. Remind us.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Remind us. Who did you play?
I'll give you guys a hint. Oh, I'm on a pipe. I'm on a pipe.
Was there a crack addict in the episode?
No. Like a sewer. I'm on a pipe in the sewer.
Oh, but, I mean, there was a rat on a pipe.
What? There was a rat on the pipe. Rat, big.
You're
Hey,
the
Rob.
you're
Yeah,
the
I'm the
rat
rat.
from the pipe.
This is the rat.
I'm the rat on the pipe.
Oh
In
my!
the sewer.
Wow, what a pleasure.
Wow, that's
Yeah. I'm starstruck too. I mean, this is even if it's through the phone. It's great to talk to you guys. We're all in the community, and I don't see you a lot of the cons.
we're usually above ground. I guess.
Oh yeah, that's what it is.
So what's your name, sir?
Well, the character name or my actual name?
No,
Your actual name.
Your actual name.
John Rat with 2 T's, like the band
like
from
the
the
band
80s.
Rat. Oh wow.
Yeah.
John Rat, what a coincidence then that you played
and your
a rat.
Yeah, and was your character called Rat on the Pipe? Is that the
Pipe Rat?
Pipe Rat.
Pipe Rat.
Okay.
Pipe Rat. Yeah, if you look at the credit, it's actually not a lot of people know there's a second set of credits.
Oh.
Second credits, yeah.
I'm
Pipe
learning
Rat,
a lot.
so-
I'm learning that there's another convention underground.
Yeah, and I'm also learning that they actually cast a rat. I just assumed like a rat wrangler came. So you auditioned for this?
Excuse me. Yeah, of course. Yeah, 3 different callbacks
Wow.
till I landed the role. Yeah,
So you're a rat actor.
I'm a ractor. Exactly. I'm in Rag. Yeah, the rat actors.
Rag. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course.
And now you got a little. Is saying rat wrangler is that inappropriate? Have I violated?
No, I mean that would be like calling Marlon Brando an extra. I mean, I was the head rat. I mean, to rats, I'm the star of that episode.
Right. Sure. No.
Yeah. So I'm just
It was a breakout thing. Now here's not
huge thing.
Okay, right. Not to offend you, John, but
Amazingly big thing. Go ahead, Rat.
well, it wasn't that meaty of a role. You know what I mean? If I'm thinking of the roles, in that episode.
I guess your question is: were there scenes that were cut that we don't know about?
Well, this is what I would say. First of all, if you watch the episode again, watch for the rat content. I jump out. You're not going to see a lot of other rats, and yeah, there were actually 2 other scenes cut out.
Oh.
One where I'm in a puddle, and then I was also just sort of ad-libbing, with some of the other actors. You know how you riff. What I loved about shooting the show is how they let it roll. So
Right.
you do what's scripted, and then you just kind of, you have an F around take, as we would say. You guys know. I mean, we're all part of the same team.
Sure.
Some of you guys are doing the above ground cons and in the first set of credits, and others of us are, below in the second set.
Second set of credits. Yeah.
I had no
I
idea.
didn't know that there were other scenes with the rat that were cut out.
Yeah, and
Yeah. Big. There's a kind of a rat plot, really. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, they must have cut it for time.
Well, it must be. There's got to be a blooper reel or a bonus material somewhere that features. Now we need to do some digging.
But again, I mean, like we all know, I mean, when you work in this biz long enough, it's not really, it's not what do you say, what do you do? It's really, are you part of the team? And we all kind of lift each other up,
Right.
A rising boat lifts all tides.
Sure.
Right.
Let me ask a lot of the actors or actors that we have on the show. What was
Thank
it?
you, Rob.
What was it like to work with Jensen and Jared?
Unbelievable. I mean, they're so, what I love about them is they're so real. And they were, they don't mind doing, there were a couple takes where I would stop. I'd say, hey, I was sort of moving across the pipe a little slowly. I would normally move fast. They go, let's back to 1.
Wow.
Let's get it right. And they were very accommodating in that sense. And then, at lunch, we're all the same. I mean, we're all eating lunch with the crew. We're all, I'm obviously eating, off the ground, things that are dropped like peanut shells and, biscuit wrappers, eat stuff from that. But we're all part of the same team. We just want the show to be good and for people to love it. But
yeah,
great guys. Great guys. Do you have their numbers? I can't seem to.
Rob does. Here's a quick
I'm going to
question.
have to ask them before I give it out.
That's no problem. But after this, let's sort of circle into that. I
Sure.
really want. I've been trying to get. Anyway, go ahead. Rob.
Yeah.
I don't want to step on your
Tail?
toes. Yeah, I don't know.
Your
When you're having lunch with the crew, were they cool with you being in the lunchroom like a rat?
Well, I mean, as you know, I mean, we as Raptors, we have fought for years for equal pay,
A seat at the
equal rights,
table.
and absolutely a seat at the table, or even just a little brick to sit on at
Sure.
the table, or something, like a napkin to sit on.
Yeah.
But there's still some people who are caught in the 40s. You're always going to deal with that in Hollywood. There's
Right.
still some people who give a look, sort of like, "Oh, should he be here?" But then there's other people who make up for that. There's other people who choose to not scream and to not run and to not say, get it out of here.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of the things I loved working on Supernatural is it's just, you know, everybody got it except for 60% of the people there.
Well, anything else you're working on now that people could look forward to seeing you again?
I'm actually, have you ever seen, you remember Charlotte's Web?
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I'm writing Templeton, which is the story, you know, kind of like the origin story of the rat in Charlotte's Web. So that I'm not even sure if I'm going to be in that or if I'm just going to write and direct. You know, at this point, you wear so many different rat hats. And I, you know, so I'm kind of, I don't want to spread myself too thin, but that's been a passion project for years. So I'm real, and it's you know, it's dark, it's gritty, it's real.
Right.
You know, it's not one of these fluff things. So I work on that. And then outside of that, I mean, you know, look, I'm always in the sewer. Anytime anyone's shooting in the sewer, I'm always there. I mean, I'm not a fake. I live there. I'm you know, I'm not in the sewer hills. I'm down there with,
Okay. You want to go. You're keeping it real, I suppose.
Absolutely. Keeping it real. And then outside of that, I mean, look, I work at whatever people want. Sorry, are you offering some work? Are you saying you have something for me?
I don't have anything at the moment, but I'll keep an ear out, an eye out if there's any.
Are you guys, because if you anything you guys are working on, I can be in it. It's really just, you know, I'm pepper to the goulash.
Right.
So
Well,
if there's
that old
there's,
saying.
Yeah, I got a bunch of them. So if that's if you guys need a rat to help out or just kind of scene build, you know, let's do it.
I think that this is great information to have. We're gonna put you on hold because Rob's gonna get back to you.
Let me get your addresses. Let me get everyone's number and contact information.
I think we're losing connection.
Let's get on an email together.
I think we're losing a connection. I feel like we're breaking up. But
oh my Lord, really?
Yeah, we're gonna send you a telegram and get you our info.
So awesome to see and talk to you guys. It must be my thing. I have FiOS down here, but it's not great.
Yeah, well, when you bite into the wire like that, it's certainly going to damage
It's an occupational hazard, Rich. You know that.
I do. I get it.
Good luck to you, John, and we hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love you guys. If you say it back, that's okay. If not, no pressure. But it's been awesome.
You seem like a great rat.
You guys seem two awesome humans, for sure.
Thank you.
Who knew that there was a rat actor on that show?
Who knew rats had phones?
Oh, it's
Who knew we had a phone?
Yeah, I know. Now we know. But it certainly was great talking to Jerry.
Who knew he had a phone?
Yeah, he had a phone too.
I guess Jerry knew he had a phone.
Yeah.
Jerry probably is aware
Jerry knew that.
he has a phone.
Yeah, Jerry, such an integral part of putting this show together.
I mean, we say that for everybody, but it's so true. So many people are so essential to the success of the show, and Jerry is one of those people, just an anchor.
Especially the people we've been talking to these first few episodes of our podcast, because they really are the people that laid the pipe, so to speak, of what became.
I feel like that's a rat reference, but yes. But he had so much of his vision is the vision of the show, right? Right. His artistic input is so massive.
Yeah.
Great. We'll speak to him again. Another time.
So Skin. Episode 106. There are lots of different mythologies in here.
Oh, it's mythology time.
It's mythology time.
Ba-ba-da.
Mythology time.
Shapeshifters exist in several different mythologies. Typically, the stories are about shapeshifting from human to animal.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Which, ironically, when I first saw the episode, this isn't a joke, I thought when I saw the shot of the rat, I was like, oh, is it a rat now? I didn't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Here's what I didn't totally understand. What is the shapeshifter? It's just
when it's not.
Yeah.
Jensen.
When Jensen sheds its skin, what is it? We never really know.
I don't know. They talk a lot about like maybe it's so hideous that it evolved.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know.
Never really got there.
No.
Well, it is going to come back in later episodes of Supernatural, I'm told.
Look at this. Check out this piece of mythology that I'm just pulling out of my brain. Did you know that there are stories in Norse mythology where Odin and Loki, Loki,
right,
have taken the form of women to nurse the children other women have given birth to?
That's gross. I can't believe you would do that.
I think that's called A-level parenting. You're not just going to change a diaper, brother. You're going to become a woman and help out with the nursing. That's good parenting.
There's something about it that bothers me.
Well, because you're making it dirty in your mind.
Okay.
And as a guy who played Loki, I'm telling you, it's just being a committed husband.
Okay. I guess it would be gross if you shapeshifted to be the baby to latch on.
Which is what you would do. To my teat. and I don't appreciate it.
In Greek mythology, Proteus is the god of shapeshifting. Lots of shapeshifters. It'd be an interesting ability to have.
If I could shift some shape, I'd take some of this donut down here, give it to me up top, be a little broad-shouldered.
Shift your own shape.
Shift my own shape.
I'd go from an apricot to a. I'd go from a pear to a
upside down pear.
Exactly. Most popular shapeshifters in pop culture. Some could argue Mystique from X-Men.
And the people who would make that argument are people who know who Mystique from X-Men is.
That's right.
I do not.
Mystiquers, they call themselves. Yeah, well, it's interesting. We haven't talked a lot about this yet, but it's interesting that that the shapeshifter gets inside Jensen's body. We kind of see Jensen as an evil character at the beginning.
It's really cool seeing him play two roles.
Yeah,
without
exactly.
question.
Yeah.
And I think this is the first time the show tried something that broad. Because later on, in episode 10?
Mm-hmm.
Is it 10? What's his asylum? 10?
10.
Jared does it.
Right.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time that really either of the boys.
We see the boys have affected so much that they fight each other.
Right.
Yeah, and at the end when they finally kill the shapeshifter Jensen leans down. We had to get a shot at 2 Jensens.
Oh, man.
For the price of 1.
It's a dream for certain people.
My television melted.
By the way, did you know that in the trivia and fun fact section...
Trivia! Fun facts!
Why are there lasers?
I don't know. It's just my theme song for Trivia Fun Facts.
Okay. Did you know that Jerry Wanek's name appears as a contact in Sam's phone?
Really?
Yeah.
When he's on the phone in the episode?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Which makes sense because Jerry and Sam know each other.
No, sorry. I was like, wait, did I miss something?
No, just I liked your reaction.
There's an infamous story that Kripke came up with Jensen's shirtless scene in response to fan requests.
Which is not true. The true reason for Jensen being shirtless was that Rob insisted on it.
Even though I didn't know him and wasn't a part of the show at the time.
Good call by Rob. Inagata Devita plays when the SWAT team is rushing through the house, unless you watch it on Netflix, in which case it does not. It's an homage to Manhunter, in which the same song plays over a similar scene. And Manhunter was the first film to feature Hannibal Lecter.
Also, Jared has commented that he loved the sets in this episode.
I really feel like we're making crap up at this point.
No?
How do we know that Jared did that comment?
Because it is written on my paper.
Because it's like Jared commented he liked this. Jared commented that he had lunch that day.
Here's another thing. Jared uses a BlackBerry at the beginning of the episode. He's writing with a little stylus.
That shows you how old it is.
Yeah.
Is there a magical knife in this episode?
Is there?
Well, right after Sam cuts the rope around his hand and kicks the quote-unquote Dean shapeshifter, he has a knife in his hand. When the shapeshifter grabs Sam and flips him over, the knife is gone. Not on the floor, not in Sam's hand.
You know who I suspect? John the Rat.
Yeah. You know what? That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's it. So many great things in this episode. It's really creepy and gross.
Yeah, and having Jerry on this episode to talk about, not only this show, but his sort of influence on the show overall, and the rat call in.
I mean, it's an epic podcast and an epic episode.
We love that you guys listened and were here with us for this whole experience. Do us a solid. Go subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now, and be sure you tell your friends.
And if you've subscribed already, do it again.
Why not?
This episode stars Jared Padalecki as Sam Winchester, Jensen Ackles as Dean Winchester.
Guest stars include Amy Grabow as Becky and Peter Shinkoda as Alex.
Skin was written by John Scheibon and directed by Robert Duncan McNeil.
Edited by Anthony Pinker.
Music by Jay Gruska.
Executive produced by Eric Kripke and Robert Singer.
The original broadcast featured some amazing musicians, including Iron Butterfly
and Leonard Skinnard.
It first aired on October 18th, 2005. This episode of Supernatural Then and Now was hosted and executive produced by Richard Speight Jr. and Rob Benedict.
Produced by Stephen Hine, written by Stephen Hine and Haida Holscher.
Audio engineering by Caitlin Hawley.
And edited and associate produced by Trey Booty.
Music provided by Tim Wynn.
The episode was recorded with the help of Sonic Fuel Studio.
This podcast is from Story Mill Media.
For news on this and other podcasts, follow Story Mill Media on Instagram and Twitter.
Well, such a great episode.
Amazing.
Freaky, scary, gross, moody.
I feel like you just described yourself.
All right.
All right,
Richard, you got a microphone right in front of your noggin there. Is it,
There you go. How about that? Is that better?
Yeah.
Thank you for caring, Jerry.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I used to do at kids' birthday parties. I would be like, hey, I'm Spider-Man. Hey, I'm Batman. They'd be like, it doesn't seem like this guy's trying.
Well, you know what? Blame the kids for having the same superhero-themed birthday party. I mean,
I agree.
Screw you
That's
guys.
what I would do. And they'd be like, it's weird that Spider-Man's talking about who's at fault at the party.
What song is that? What TV show is it?
I literally can hear it.
It's like Bob Newhart or. It's like Bob Newhart or something.
I thought it was a drama.
Maybe. I like this typo here in Greek mythology.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I think we just do. Do you want to just do the outro with him on the phone and then?
No, I imagine it like we're like, that was so fun talking to Jerry. You know, it's a shame we couldn't get any of the actors on. Oh, our phones are ringing. Hold on a second. Hello? The brothers do their best to stop this killing spree. It all takes a terrifying turn when the shapeshifter morphs into the likeness of Dean himself.
That's terrifying?
Well,
That doesn't say, ooh, I'm scared. It says, yay, bachelorette party.
and part of the episode, too, is the shapeshifter. Turns out the shapeshifter now has gotten into the body of Dean, which is something you've been trying to do for years.
I gotta go tinkle.
Let's go for it.
Recording stopped.
Story Mill Media.